answer. Hello, 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 hello. Yes, you are welcome to another Tuesday Live. And my name is Wendy Ologi, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. The Intentional Parent Academy is an academy for parents where we teach you how to be a parent. Yes, if you're joining us for the very first time, I want to see your comments in the comment section. I see 13, 15 people already watching. If this is your first time joining us on a Tuesday live on our YouTube channel, all you need to do is put a first timer sticker, all right? Or just say first time in the comment section and you will glad to have you. If you are also been here for a while, please just put in the comment section where you're streaming live from your location. I am streaming live from the capital city of Nigeria. Thank you for joining me again today. Someone was here 40 minutes before time waiting for this session. That must be really, really, really amazing. Thank you again for joining me. And I would like to say that the conversation today is so valid for everybody in different angles of their parenting. And there's no child that you have that doesn't misbehave. Let me say that again. There's no child that you have that doesn't misbehave. It simply means that you can never have a perfect child. So there are quite a number of us, when you talk about children misbehaving, it doesn't exonerate any of our children. Every child, every single child has, that. And what are the things, what happens when a child is acting out? What do you think exactly happens to that child? Why is that child acting out in the first place? Why is that child acting out in the first place? All right? Please give me a minute. Okay. Why is that child acting out? All right. So there's no perfect child. Children act out because, number one, they are lost. Many times when a child is lost, the child acts out because the child is not even understanding what is wrong with them. Yes, they are lost. They don't know what to do. Number two reason why your child acts out is that they are afraid. When a child is afraid, a child who has not been taught how to express themselves would act out. Sometimes it will come in the form of lying. It might come in the form of, bickering. It might come in the form of being heady, all right? And it is that your child is acting like that can cause it. Another reason why your child acts out might be that your child just needs guidance. I have come to realize that so many of the times, a child is acting out not because they know, but because they do not even know what to do. So when parents come to me to say, oh, my child is 13, my 13-year-old should be, I usually say, I said in one of my favorite books, Connect to Correct, all right, written by me, I said that assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. We assume. So that way, a child is needing guidance, then the child is making mistakes. So that way, we assume somewhere in our head that this child should know. And of course, instead of that child doing what is right, the child will act out. Another reason why your child can misbehave is that your child is seeking attention. I said in my book, Connect, the Discipline That Works, that negative attention is better than no attention for a child. So your child will rather induce negative attention from you than having no attention from you at all. So when your child is lacking attention from you, your child will immediately begin to misbehave. Many children who misbehave have been found to just lack attention. That's the only reason why they misbehave. So I have seen children who are misbehaving, gross misbehavior. And when you really look at it, it's just a gap of lack of connection between them and their parents. So these are the reasons why a child might misbehave. Now, is it that the child is lost, the child is afraid, the child is in need of guidance, or the child is seeking attention. So anytime your child is misbehaving, remember these 4 things. Ask yourself, is my child lost? Is my child afraid? And let me also say this, being afraid, all right, fear can induce a lot of things. Fear can make your child answer back, talk back at you. Fear can make your child, there's a lot of things that fear can actually do to your child when it comes to misbehavior. Fear can make your child lie. Of course, many children who lie are actually afraid. All right. And then in need of guidance and then seeking attention. And for me, the last is actually very key and very common, because fear and seeking attention. Many of the times, children are afraid or they are seeking attention. And, in need of guidance, I have seen quite a number of parents who have a problem with what it is that a child is doing. But when you really look at it, that child is not getting the training required. Now, when parents explain to me, so I was in Lagos over the weekend and I was teaching in a church, the MFM church. I know, amazing time out with the people. And one of the things that I had to say was, we think that discipline is about when a child makes mistakes. And that's why our definition of discipline is abused. So we don't know the definition of discipline. We say when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So inevitably, we have abused that word. All right. So we don't even know which is right. So what we do is that we wait for our children to make mistakes and then we pounce on them. And that's not discipline. Today, we started doing the review in our inner circle, group. If you are not in the new cohort, Oyo is your name. All right. So we're doing review for the parents in this year. Every single parent who had spoken to me has said to me that TIP has been the best thing that happened to them in 2022, and this is no joke. A particular parent who moved to Hong Kong, I was having a conversation with her today. She said, Coach, when I moved here, I understood a lot. It made sense, a lot of the things that you teach. And I realized that indeed, she said to me, these children are so disciplined. And I'm not talking about aggression. So what we call discipline in this part of the world, a lot of the times, is aggression, and aggression is not discipline. So we wait for our children to make mistakes, we bounce on them, and we don't teach. Meanwhile, the real meaning of discipline means to teach. It comes from the word discipline, and it means to teach is a Latin word. So if you're not teaching, I wonder what discipline really means. So we trail on a lot of assumption when it comes to parenting. We say things like, your mates are 13, they are doing all of these. In fact, sometimes what triggers it is that you see your neighbor's child, he's 16, for instance, and he's traveling and doing things. You come home, you get upset, and then you say, look at you can't even do anything. Is it not your mates I saw on the road? We say those things, but when you really think about it, have you really equipped your child to be able to really exhibit those things? I was having a conversation with one of the pastor's wife, and she said to me, I'm always telling my children, you need to be street smart. You need to be street smart. But she said, after I finished the session, she realized that she now said, okay, I'm telling these children to be street smart. But where's the street? Street smart for children that I never allowed to go out. They never know anything happening on the street. Inside my bedroom, they're going to be street smart. But she said anything something happened, they go out and not maybe goes out with them, they will make mistakes on the way they walk and all of that. She will start screaming, why can't you be street smart? Why can't the child is not trained to be street smart? Assuming that your child is going to become a teen is one of the greatest tragedy of parenting. Let me say that again. Assuming that your child is going to become a teen without intentional process is the greatest tragedy of parenting. Because I've seen quite a number of parents who have intentions, good intentions. Assuming that your child will become a teen without an intentional process is the greatest tragedy in parenting. So your child will say, I've seen many parents who have good intentions, amazing intentions, but in parenting, intentions are never enough. Good intentions does not equal to good parenting. I know whenever people ask me, I say that you love your child doesn't even necessarily mean that you know what to do because you love your child. So love itself is not enough. You can love your child and kill your child even though you love your child. Because ignorance is one of the greatest error on this journey. So you can just sit down and say, hey, but I love my child now. What are they saying? I've seen parents who will say, oh, after all, I am the one that gave birth to the child. How can you tell me what to do with my child? That's usually the position before I teach people that I've never taught before. Before I taught in the church, on Saturday, I heard, some congregators, were saying, how can somebody come and teach me how to parent my child? The Bible is there, and all of that. And some of you who are listening to me for the first time might have that kind of, notion as well. But let me bust your bubble. The truth of the matter is that when you are now done, one session or two, you now realize, okay, what I know isn't enough really. That I have the intention of raising a child who will fulfill destiny doesn't mean I'm going to end up doing that. So many of us loved our children. Our parents loved us. Everything they did was out of good intentions, but good intentions are not enough. To your good intentions, you must add required skills. You must add required knowledge for that good intention to become meaningful on your journey. So it is not about having good intention. It's not about knowing what to do. Is it what is good for the child? I hear parents say things like, "Oh, I know, I know, do whatever works for you." Is that a conversation, or is it what is going to make that child fulfill destiny? Do you know that what is working for you might not be working for your child, because your child is a human being. Is a full human being. It's an error to actually think, I've said that over and again, that only you have everything it takes without learning, without listening, without picking what you need to do, without growing yourself to raise a full human being. A child being defiant needs to reconnect with you and find their way back to calm. And except you can step in and help that child, the child will continue to act out. So when a child is actually being defiant, they are depending on us. All right. It's not because the child is bad, but because, your child is still learning and growing. There's no bad child. Quote me anywhere. Just like there's no dumb child. The problem is the way we teach these children. Because we think that the way we learn is the same way we should teach our children. That's why we keep struggling. So when parents tell me, oh, this kind of discipline doesn't work, I say, no, you do not know who you are parenting. I have a set of twins. I don't discipline them the same way because I understand that their learning styles are different. They learn differently. And if my discipline definition is that I need to teach my children, then I must find out how I need to teach them for them to learn. So there's no heady child. So sometimes, I say things, people will say, oh, because your children are really calm. Somebody said to me, I met your children. Your children are not those kind of children. Oh, they are calm. They well put together. I had a good laugh. So, and I'm like, they are children. They are not perfect. They are not adults either. So a child is going to be a child. There's no bad child. There's no dumb child. There are parents who do not know what to do. Let me say that again. There are no bad children. There are no dumb children. There are only parents who lack the required knowledge of how to help that child. So if your child is struggling with misbehaviors, take it back to yourself. You don't know how to help the child. And if God didn't trust that we can seek ways to help our children, He wouldn't give us children. In fact, He wouldn't create the parenting system. And hey, like I often say, God will never parent your child for you. And I know that a lot of people fight with that statement. If you want to know, that was why Jesus Christ had earthly father and mother, because God doesn't parent children. Story for another day. So your child is not the problem. So if you have a child that is misbehaving, hear me today. Your child is not the problem. There is no bad child. There is no dumb child. There are only parents who lack knowledge on how to help their children. Anytime I see a child who is struggling, I see a parent who is ignorant. Every time I see a child who is struggling, I see a parent who is ignorant. It's not the child's fault. When we did the last TIP annual conference, it was themed the parenting advantage. And what I taught on was the parenting advantage. You are either going to be an advantage to your child or a disadvantage to your child. Either ways, you make the choice. It's very tough for you to be able to respond in a calm, confident way. Misbehaviors can push your parental buttons, and it's, the truth of the matter is that it can just mess you up. It can just mess you up. Misbehaviors can be and you will be stuck. So, when we say you need to stay calm, it's not as easy as it's said. And that's why a parent asked me over the weekend at the event, at a parenting conference in MFM. I said, oh, so I understand what you're saying. I don't even like to flog my children. I want to take away the cane. So should I just go home? What do I do with those canes? Should I just throw them away, break them, and just move on? I said to her, do not leave a vacuum. One of the problems I have found is that people tell you what not to do and they never teach you what to do. And I said to her, until you build the required skills, you need to go and build the required skills. And that's why when parents hear me, tips, hacks there, all right, the parents in the inner circle will understand what I'm saying. When you do not commit to a process, it makes it a lot more difficult for you to be able to carry out that thing. All right. So you can just hear me say, oh, he said we should not beat the children. It's not good for the child. And then you throw away the cane. And then you come back 2 weeks later and say, oh, my children have become worse. That thing you said is not working. How can it work? You do not have the required skills to be able to deliver on it. So if I'm saying that you need to be calm with, in the eyes of a misbehaving child, what I'm saying is you need to learn the skills to be calm and apply the right discipline at the right time. So I'm not just saying keeping quiet. So keeping quiet is not a disciplinary strategy. Keeping quiet is not a disciplinary strategy. In my book, The Discipline That Works, I wrote that silence is not a disciplinary strategy. What is a strategy is silence and deliberate programming. If there is no intentional programming, then your silence is useless. So you must think at every point in time, do I have the required skill for this method? There is a skill to positive discipline. And the benefits of disciplining your child the right way is that they become self-disciplined, not hypocrites. They're not the same. They become self-disciplined, not hypocrites. What you do with wrong disciplinary measures is that you raise hypocrites. Children who learn nothing and just want to circumvent the whole process, just not to be in your trouble. And that's not what we're talking about. So you need to understand. So when you say, oh, they say we should keep quiet, we should not do anything when a child misbehaves. Oh, all these people that are teaching work parents, who taught you that? Who is teaching you that? That you should keep quiet when a child misbehaves? Your silence is not a strategy. Not saying anything is not a strategy. That's why you need to go and read The Discipline That Works. Because there are strategies to the discipline that works. So do not listen to these sessions and assume somewhere in your head that this is what we're saying. No. Assumption, again, is the lowest form of knowledge. So that's why we hit go and get the required knowledge. It makes you a better person. It makes you a better person. Are you following me? If you're following me, let me see your fire emojis. And if you've invited someone here, let me see you tell me that you've invited somebody. 183 parents watching live. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you for joining me. And thank you to all the scribes. I see you guys. Inner Circle parents, I see you. And we're going to keep bringing this. So we're waiting for your fire emojis and letting us know that you have invited people. If you haven't, just pause a bit, share that link with your family and your friends, and boom, you're back here, and then we continue this session. All right, so while you do that, so that we can have more people listening to this conversation today, I said that it is tough for you to respond in a calm, confident way when a misbehavior is happening because your buttons are being poked. You know, yours truly, I had to learn, all right, how to remain calm in situations like that. I realized at the time in my journey that calmness is a skill, not something I need to kabash about. In fact, those days, I remember that when it is the time where I'm supposed to be calm, I would just start saying, "Oh, Holy Spirit, just help me to be calm." I don't have what it takes for God to help me at that time. There was no base. So I had to go and learn the skills to be calm in the face of chaos. Very important. Okay, I can see that, a few people left. Let me wait a bit on the comeback and see people that have said they've shared and all of that. Abang Elizabeth, Mommy, I can see you. Well done. Welcome, ma. All right. I see many grandmothers and all of that. In fact, today I heard a very interesting story about a particular Yada's mom who visited her where she lives abroad, I think in Canada, and saw how her children were. And started to ask her, "So what are you doing?" And she told her mom about the TIP Academy. And she said her mom collected, the TIP Academy number and started sharing to everybody who was in Nigeria who was struggling with their child, and started telling them, "See, there's a solution. I have found something." All right. So shout out to all the grandmothers. I see you guys. Thank you so much for helping us in this generation. All right. And my mom is here as well because thank you so much for being here. Now, one of the things that you need to understand, one of the things that you need to understand is that discipline is not an emergency. I've said this over and again. In fact, discipline is not an emergency is the title of one of the books I'm writing. All right. And I'm sure that in no time it's going to be out there. Discipline is not an emergency. When you make it an emergency, you make a mess. When you make it an emergency, you make a mess. And one of the only way you can get discipline, you can practice discipline not being an emergency, is to work on your emotions. That's why we're putting up the Master Your Emotions Challenge. The details is right in the description for you to register if you haven't. We currently have over 200 parents registered at Master Your Emotions Challenge. The idea is for you to learn how to become in the face of a misbehaving child. It is not when. It is not if, it is when. Because your child will misbehave. I have seen parents who are very calm children, and all of a sudden, the child turns 11 and becomes cantankerous, and they run to me. "Oh, coach, my children have been perfect." You were not prepared for that time. You do not even understand what that time is going to bring. And that was the real challenge. So it's not an emergency. When you make it an emergency, you make a mess. So what you need to do first, if you're going to practice discipline not being an emergency, is to build skills in how to remain calm in the face of chaos. How do you do that? You learn to master your emotions. You learn to understand how, you are triggered. Part of what we're going to be teaching in the Master Your Emotions Challenge is that you're going to be looking at how, how your triggers work. A lot of us don't even know what triggers us. You're going to be learning how you can structure your home to make it a better system. Incidentally, the fee 3499 that is showing on my screen, today is the last day for that fee. By tomorrow, you get to pay 5499, and then you get to pay 10 after 4 days or so. So you might want to actually take action today. Today is the last day for this particular discount. All right. So one of the things that you want to understand is that you need to work on that. Now, most misbehaviors and tantrums are not related to emergency, provided that child is safe. So many of the times, people would tell me, but, oh, coach, what if the child in that time, the child is just screaming and all of that? You are the one making it an emergency most of the times. I've told this story to the parents in the inner circle. I once told them how my son did something in the morning. He was going to school, and I had left work to take him to work and all of that. And at that time, I could have chosen to react. But I looked at all of the circumstances. I understood that discipline wasn't an emergency. I also understood that whatever it is that I did now, that it wasn't going to help my child. The reasons are simple. A misbehaving child is not a listening child. But your problem is that you're going to attack it, basbos. Your child is not listening. So as you're doing the basbos, the child is, shut down. Whatever it is you want to do, eh? And then you too, you're angry. You're not even thinking about it. So, of course, there's fire everywhere. And then the situation of things that at that time for me was money. Why should a child go to school angry? In your home, your children go to school, arrive in the morning, you're shouting and screaming and all of that. Do you even know that shuts down the learning center of a child? And many of the times you find out that these are, the issues. Now, you need to learn how to plan how you will respond. You need to learn how to plan how you will respond. Because your child, at that point, when a child is throwing tantrum, that's the worst time to begin to have conversations. So a lot of parents will tell me, oh, coach, we've practiced it. It's not working. My child was just showing it. I was just telling him, it's okay. I will go. I said, what are you guys talking about? That's the worst time. All right? That's the worst time to actually begin to talk to a child on what is right or what is wrong. And I left that conversation till a later time. And hey, by the time I was talking about it, my son was very sober. He understood what I was saying. He came back to apologize. And, you could see that he understood why it happened. And he also gave his own reason why it happened and said, okay, my reason is not tenable. You need to understand that your children are human beings as well. Very, very important. All right, there's no one-off training, okay, when it comes to parenting. There is no one-off training when it comes to parenting. When it comes to parenting, parenting is not one-off. You must begin to understand that it is a process. That is a process. So if you are for tips, hacks here and there, and all you're thinking is how you can solve the problem, quick fixes, it doesn't help you. Quick fixes don't work. All right? They just quick fix it. That's what they are. It's a quick fix. It's a quick fix. All right? Very important for you to note. When you fail to pause, you find yourself reacting and having to double your effort to reconnect. All right? And when you choose to pause, you may believe you are doing nothing, but trust me, that is actually the real work. When you pause, you're thinking, how am I going to respond to this? What do I do? The power of that initial nothing is the road to calmer responses and an emotionally responsible child. The power of that initial nothing, that initial nothing that you do, that initial thinking that discipline is not an emergency. The power of that nothing is the road to calmer responses from you. And it's also, that's where you get the emotionally responsible child. Remember, if your child is going to be emotionally responsible for their emotions, they need to learn it from their environment. The reason why you blame your child is because you're not responsible for your emotions. But if you blame, if you understand taking responsibility for your emotions, when something happens, you will never say it is your child that made you scream. I hear parents, it's all these children that's making me scream all the time. That's already a pointer to failure because you have not taken responsibility. All right? You've not taken responsibility to it. While pausing, all right, you can even offer your child, what guidance can I offer you at this time? It can be, how can we both turn this moment around? I ask that to my children every time. So how can we both turn this moment around? What does my child need to get back on track? Now, mind you, you will not be able to achieve this if your emotions are not under wraps. What I'm sharing with you is not a walk in the park. You're a parent, you already understand. Because even when you're not a parent, even if you are someone who works with children or you are a single person, your boss says something. See, your ability to manage your emotions will be a determining factor for a lot of things for your child. Number two thing that you need to do is that you need to believe that your child can do better. There's something I taught the parents in the inner circle. By the way, if you want to join the inner circle for the next cohort, that is the stream right under the ticker, right under the stream, scrolling through. All right, we're going to soon stop the registration because we're already getting overwhelmed, and we wouldn't want that. We want to deliver at our best. So if you want to register now, the time is now. Registration will soon close. Start date is 1st of December. And if registration closes, that's it. We're not opening it. We don't open the inner circle until 1st of December next year. And the choice is yours. Now, I said, believe your child can do better. There's something that I call self-fulfilling prophecies. Be careful what you say in the face of misbehavior. No, so people tell me I have faith. Oh, oh, this one, that one. But when your child is misbehaving, that's why you're cussing your child out. That's a lack of emotional control, unfortunately. That's when you are saying all manner of things to your child. That's when you are saying, you can never learn this thing. I have been teaching you for that. That means the child will never learn it. Because it's a self-fulfilling prophecies. I'm a spiritual person, so of course, I'm going to teach from that end. And I'm sure that many of us, whether Christian or Muslim, spirituality is a core, for every human being. All right? Do you have faith enough that no matter how many mistakes your child make, that is going to be worthy of learning from your guidance? It's faith. It's faith to believe that what you're learning, that the skills you're acquiring is going to work. Self-fulfilling prophecies. Do you even believe your guidance will work? Even when difficulties show up? When children misbehave, it's usually because they are stuck. When misbehaviors show up, it's because your child doesn't know any other way of letting you know that they are afraid, that they are hurting, that they're upset. So at this point, one of the things you need to do is to let your child believe that you believe that they can. Be kind. It makes all of the difference. Trust me, it does. Nobody rejects kindness. Number 3, you need to build skills. An unskilled child will frustrate you. Somebody help me write that in the comment section. An unskilled child will frustrate you. It's not a prophecy. It is the truth. If your child is unskilled, you'll be frustrated. There are 7 essential life skills your child must build. All right. There are too many life skills, but there are essential life skills. One of the things that we teach in the inner circle is life. So recently I saw somebody share a post on Instagram, and it was a post on the life skills your children must learn before they go to college and all of that. A parent in the inner circle tagged me. He was a professional, one of the IT gurus in the US, who has children that are grown. A parent in the inner circle tagged me and said, "Coach, you see all these things that you keep saying we need to do." And I smiled when I saw it. There are principles of life. There are manual to parenting. You don't raise a child with those skills, you will struggle, your child will struggle. It's not a cost, it's the reality of our times. You need to incorporate it into your daily routine. What we have done with the inner circle system is to incorporate these skills. So by the time you finish a year, your child is so skilled. Somebody said to me, how do we build executive functioning skills? I said, everything we teach in the inner circle builds the child to have executive functioning skills. And you realize that you tick out all of the executive functioning skills by the time you do 1 year in the inner circle. So your child needs to be skilled. They need focus and self-control. Children thrive on schedules, habits, routines. They need perspective taking, thinking about another point of view. You shut your children down so that they will not be able to take perspective. How do they understand to take perspective, another point of view outside of a view? Because you're parenting like you're the alpha and the omega when you're not. You are just a human being like every other person. You're not infallible. I have said before that the infallibility narrative in parenting is a false narrative. Do not peddle it. All right? Communication. Talking about communication, conversations, connections, collaborations. Now, when I talk about communications, we teach a master class on communications, all right? And next year, we have even deepened communication because we found that it is a major core area in the failure of many parents on their parenting journey. Because our parents didn't teach us communication, under communication, our parents didn't teach conversations, connections, collaborations. Unfortunately, what we learned are criticisms, instructions, controls, and judgment. So criticisms, instructions. So if your parenting is only about instructions, about criticisms, about controls, about screaming, about judgment, that parenting is wrong. Because your parenting that is right must have conversations richly so, connections richly so, and collaborations. And many of the times I have found that we were not raised to have conversations. Our parents shut us down. Before you could say anything, you are told, what are you talking about? Just keep quiet. I remember growing up, I had a series of, arguments with my dad, all of us. And every single one of them, my father allowed us to actually be able to butt head with him. Something that he is grateful for. I am grateful for. There were conversations. Now, conversations, in most of our homes, we cannot sit down with our parents to talk because we were not taught. Right now, we cannot also sit down with our children to talk. It's all about when you just come home. Let me give you a typical scenario. You're coming from work, from the gate. You've not washed the plate. The whole place is dirty. What is that? How did you go today in school? The child will say, it was okay. The child will say, it was okay. You will say, okay. Oh, yeah. And then the child, you now call, you say, this thing you did today, I have told you before, when you come back from school, remove your clothes, do this, do that. In your mind is advice. And then you finish all of that, you go to your room, and then you come out, and maybe something is not done. You start again with a series of criticism, or maybe you're yelling. And the next time you're going to meet the children, the next thing you're telling them is, you go and wash the plate. You go to the kitchen and go and do this. You go to this, and that's it. There are no conversations happening. You find out that the only time you communicate with your children is either you're criticizing, is either you're controlling, is either you're instructing, or is either you're yelling or judging. You're standing as a judge. It's something that you need to, pay attention to. Critical thinking. Your children need to learn to think. Many of our children can't think. That's why we choose clothes for 9-year-olds, what they will wear. That's why we pack travel bags for our 8-year-olds. That's why we do not allow them to think, because we don't want them to make mistakes. We want them to just have a perfect life. Then we try to put that perfect life. That's the same reason, all right, why we also go to schools and do homework for our children. Your child brings back a homework. You don't want your child to fail. You just want to do the homework. No, if I don't do it, if I don't help my child do it, that I've never helped my children do homework before. And when a parent say, oh, does I need to really help the child, sit down. When a child does not know what to write in the homework, it simply means that the child has not understood what has been taught. And God being gracious enough, the school my children went in primary school was very kind enough to understand that this works. And then when they'll tell you, don't do anything. If the child cannot do it, they should bring back a blank sheet. So all of these things are the things, because we have been raised with this perfectionist system. You are constantly comparing, you're constantly, trying your everything is about trying to create a perfect picture. You want to tell everybody that you're perfect. The same reason why a child is throwing a tantrum in a public place. Every parent is telling you, you didn't train the child well. What is it? The child is throwing a tantrum because we have mastered the act of hypocrisy and perfection, because we just want to push out that narrative that, oh, our children are the best, and oh, they don't do anything wrong and all of that. And while doing that, we end up not allowing our children think. Because if they think for themselves, they will make mistakes. And mistakes are the bane that every child learns from. Without mistakes, your child isn't learning. So your child is not making mistakes. It's just perfect. There's something wrong with the system that you already have. So allowing your children think will mean that they make a lot of mistakes and they make a lot of mess. When people come to me to ask me, how did the twins start cooking so early? I tell them parenting is in the mess. If you know the kind of mess that would happen in my house in those days, you will be thinking, many people can't take it. That's the truth. But if you're not ready for the mess, then you're not ready for parenting. Because the mess and the mistakes are the pillars on which children who are successful will be built. So if your child must think, then your child must make a mess. Mistakes are proof that your child is thinking. Take on challenges, all right? These also resilient building and all of that. Self-directed, making connections. Time will not permit me to share a lot on the skills, but if you want to really learn skills that your children will need to thrive in the 21st century, join the inner circle. And I miss no mouth in saying it. It's going to be a saving grace for you. Quote me anywhere. My name is Wendy Ologe. Anywhere. All right? So you need to understand that there's a system, there's something you need to learn, and that you must learn for your child to actually be raised differently. There are learning skills. Without them, your child might continue to actually struggle. And there are skills that can be developed through intentional activities, which is one of the things that we do, all right, in the inner circle. We do intentional activities. Intentional activities that help your children learn executive functioning skills, learn all these skills. So automatically, you're doing those things in trickles and your child is developing it. So forget all these things that they tell you, just go to one place, the child will just learn this thing in 3 weeks during holiday and all of that. Your child can learn it. It's easier for your child to learn it in the process. It is easier. Your child has more base. In the inner circle, I told parents in the inner circle, I said, hiring a lesson teacher doesn't teach your child how to learn. It teaches them how to pass exam, and that's not the brain. A child who learns how to learn will become more successful and will also pass exams. So you just hiring teachers for a child not performing is a quick fix. Quote me anywhere. It's a quick fix. It might be the easy way out, but that's not the way to go, really. And by the time you see children, that's why we have very high-flying students right in the inner circle, because by the time you just do the basics and build the muscle powers, build the mental capacity of the child flies straight up. Because these things are built in trickles. Do you know that if you want your child to be strong in mathematics, there are things that you must do between 0 to 5 to build the mental capacity of that child? And once you can do it, you have mathematics gurus. I am an evidence that that is true. I have so many parents in the inner circle that are evidence that that is true. My son does mathematics without calculators because those bays have been put together. My daughter is not as good as my son is, but this is not as good. She's an 80, she's an A student in maths. She's an 80 plus student in maths. So you need to understand that there is something, there's a base. And I've never hired any extra learning teacher. It's not because my children are smarter than any other child. No, it's because there is something that I know to do that you don't know. So it's as simple as that. And if you know it, you do better. Because I didn't even start as early as I should have. So I've seen parents in the inner circle right now who are starting at age 0. I look at their children. I'm like, oh my goodness. Who are these people? You see 3-year-olds performing magic. Literally. I didn't have my 3-year-olds do that kind of magic. Literally. A parent reached out to me to talk about her son who is always, pressing for using their phone and all of that. And when you collect it, he will be angry and all of that. I smiled. And she said, I said, how old is the child? She said, she's 5. And he said, oh, that's what 5-year-olds do. I said, no, that's not what 5-year-olds do. That's a lack of skill from the caregivers of the 5-year-old. I told her, I said, I've had toddlers in my life. They will not as much as touch another person's phone. So it is important that you understand. So most of the skills your child will need to thrive in the global economy, I'm saying it again for the 100th time, is not easily taught in the classroom, but at home, and is not on the screen. Most of the skills your child will need to thrive in the global economy is not easily taught in the classroom. They are not on the screen. They are developed at home. That's the base. So you need to understand how important the family system is, your role, the things you need to do. I had a review with the parent yesterday. Amazing process they've done with their child who lives outside the country, I think Canada. And she said to me, Coach, you don't understand what has happened to me. And she said, living abroad, I used to just say, oh, children who are trained abroad are useless and all of that. But people have told me that my children are better behaved than the children who are living back home. It is not about where you live. It's about what you know. Where you live is an environmental factor. I agree. But what you know will trump that at all times if you are intentional about your process. Number D, you need to work on your emotions and you need to quit reactivity. How do you work on your emotions? I cannot tell you any other better way. Join the Master Your Emotions Challenge. The link is in description. The link is also right here on my screen. Today makes it the last day to pay 3,499. From tomorrow, you pay 5,499. If you are glad enough to give us 5,499, we have a very robust staff system. We'll be very glad because it will really help us. All right. So, and if you want to wait till the end to pay 10,000 naira, some parents actually do that. They look at the fee. I remember that when we did Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, some parent reached out to me to say, I feel so bad paying just 3,000 naira for Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. And the parent actually paid 15,000 and said, see, this is what I want to, do. I feel like I didn't really pay for this course. All right. So if you join the Master Your Emotions Challenge, I can assure you, that it will feel that way. A parent reached out to me recently. I was asking me about the inner circle. And she said to me, I've learned so much just listening to the free, webinars. I wonder what happens in the inner circle. And, I've seen the reviews and I am gingered. And, she asked me, so coach, how much is the inner circle? And I told her, and she said, okay, I will try. And I said something to her. I said, when you're done with the inner circle, when you do 3 months, you will come back to me and pay extra. That I am sure. I know she was like, she will be so glad to pay. So I'm sure she's listening to me because she's joined the waiting list. All right. So make time for yourself. Make time for yourself. That will be the last one. Make time for yourself. So one of the things that you need to understand is that when you don't make time for yourself, you will struggle because the base, you are the parent. You are the parent, all right? Fumilayo is asking how they will join the inner circle. Please look at the ticker scrolling on my screen and you see all of the details for inner circle, or look at the description of this video and you see all of the details you need to be in the inner circle. All right. So what are the things that make misbehaviors, that increase misbehaviors? What are the things that increase misbehaviors? Number one, all right. Number one, inability to self-regulate. Inability to self-regulate. Many children cannot self-regulate. That's why misbehaviors are actually, increases instead of being worked on. So your child is misbehaving. What you do, a child who cannot self-regulate, for instance, you continue to beat the child. You're not teaching your child how to self-regulate. So it's going to keep increasing. Many parents come back to me to say, I've beat this child, nothing has changed. And if you're going to be sincere with yourself, you realize that that's not really the way to go. All right, there are better ways. So inability to self-regulate, many children can't self-regulate, and it's a big challenge to a lot of children. Number two, stress. Yes, your children can be stressed, and I've seen where children can be stressed, and I've seen that things, on stress can actually be, a lot more, of an issue. But parents don't believe that children can be stressed. And then let me also say this about self-regulation. One of the things that happens to you when you get to the inner circle is that your system of screen is being, all put together in a way that it helps you. So screen time is a key aspect of the academy because we understand how it can ruin you. A lot of children have been diagnosed of autism today because there have been a shift. There's increase in the diagnosis of autism because of how much screen the children are consuming. And children who do screen cannot self-regulate, who do a lot of screen. They cannot self-regulate. It's almost impossible because of the way that the system is wired. I'm going to share this at the Master Your Emotions Challenge, all right, on self-regulation and how you can work on self-regulation for your child. That will be part of the curriculum, all right? That will be part of the curriculum, how you can help your child self-regulate. Number three is lack of basic lasting habits that last. Now, there are lasting habits that last, and skills that transform. For you to raise a child who will be self-disciplined, you must pay attention to habits that last and skills that transform. All right, you want to know what those habits are? Get into the academy. We teach all of that. Number D, wrong parenting styles. Wrong parenting styles will make misbehaviors turn to a more, a bigger issue because you do not understand what you need to do with the child. You're pushing in the wrong way, and your child is going to resist and also push in the wrong way as well. So wrong parenting style is also another reason why a child would also continue to misbehave. So as I'm reading out this thing, you're going to be looking at what you should be working at as a parent. And then E, not understanding the child and the developmental level. Many times we don't even understand what our child should be doing per time. A toddler, there's something a toddler must be doing per time. For instance, there's no reason if you get your toddler not to sleep a minimum of 11, 12 hours in a day, you're going to have a cranky toddler. And of course, that is going to make a mess of your journey. Many of our children are misbehaving because they're not getting enough sleep. I see 8-year-olds who go around learning and they sleep only 4 or 5 hours in a day. That can be a very key factor in misbehavior. So you need to pay attention to understanding the child's developmental levels. Number F, unpredictability. When you talk to a lot of parents, they tell you, in fact, we brag with unpredictability. You see parents say, I am unpredictable. My children do not even know what I can do. Unpredictability is an enemy. It's an enemy of parenting and a total enemy. In fact, write it in the comment section. Unpredictability is an enemy of parenting. Never be unpredictable. Let your children understand what is required to do per time. All those trying to form spirits, please, is unnecessary. Keep it on one side. You're not the Holy Ghost. Allow the Holy Ghost to do his job. You are not the one. The Holy Ghost is somewhere in heavens. Keep it on one side. Never be unpredictable. You are not God. Even God, we know the principles that work with God. God is not even unpredictable. Do not be unpredictable. It doesn't pay you. It doesn't pay your child. It is an enemy of parenting because children thrive on routines and structures. When you become unpredictable, your children are confused. You confuse your child. And the worst thing you want to do with a child is to confuse them. Do not confuse your child in the name of, oh, they don't even know what I will do next. Before they know, the boy did not even know I was going to give, I was going to give him a backhand slap. And before he should just finish, I gave him slap. You think you've done something. You just remained unpredictable, and your child will continue to get confused. And then your child begin to look for ways to circumvent the circumstances that he finds himself because he doesn't even know what is required of him or what can happen. Thank you so much. Not understanding, then unpredictability, Onyekachi. Thank you so much, Onyekachi, for being a scribe for us today. We have just 3 minutes to go, and I'm not going to do 1 minute after this session. All right. If you have questions, it means that you have a long way to go on your journey. Get our books. All right. We have all of the books right here, right here, right here, right here. You have Connect to Correct. You have The Discipline That Works. And then if you are also, married and you're looking for how to work out your marriage, this is Building Your Marriage Plan written by my husband. This is Husband Manual for Wives written by my husband. You can get all these books on Amazon. This is Connect to Correct. This is the Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro 1.0. We're going to read all these books in the inner circle and dissect them. When you read books in the inner circle, it's a different ballgame. It's not like what you read. Trust me. All right. This is Resolving Sibling Rivalry. We're currently reading this one in level 1. Amazing book that talks about how you can resolve sibling rivalry. All right. And what you need to put in place for sibling rivalry to actually work. Okay. So Resolving Sibling Rivalry. We have Walking Your Child to Puberty. Walking Your Child to Puberty is a book I wrote during the pandemic. And it was because of what was happening, through puberty with a lot of children, and we created the course to Walking Your Child to Puberty. So this is the workbook. The book and the workbook can get copies anywhere you are in Nigeria or outside of Nigeria. This is from Yelling to Come. A parent who came for review today told me, Coach, this book changed my life. And every time I look at it, I'm like, this book changed my life. That's how she got in contact with me, because someone got it as a gift for her. See, you can get a gift for somebody of a book and you will change the person's life forever. Trust me, I'm saying it. All right. This is The Discipline That Works. And then this is the Parenting Launch Plan. The Parenting Launch Plan is a launch plan we're using in the inner circle only. If you buy it, then you need to work at it yourself. That's our parenting manual. All right. It's only for people who believe that there is a manual. Okay. And, I was talking about getting a book. Recently, someone got me a book on my birthday, on spiritual intelligence. That book is one of the turnarounds of my life in this year. And, it can just be that you picked up a book and bought for someone and you changed the person's life. That book has bettered so much in me, in the people who follow, you, and many replications. So you might be replicating a lot just by buying a book and gifting it to that friend. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all of the Yadas. I see you guys. Moyekachi helping me to describe Chinwe, Ronke. I see quite a number. I see some new people who are really active in the comment section today. I see Faith. I see Chloe's podcast. I see there's somebody I saw that was quite active today, and there was Crystal Lux. Yes, I see you, Faith. I see you, Mwakama Peace. I see everyone, please. I see you, Alice. Thank you so much for being here and for joining me on Tuesday Live. Every Tuesday, remember that we're here on Tuesday Live. All right. Coach, you promised people to register. Yes. Don't worry, you're getting the book. We didn't forget, okay? We want to be able to share it to you all at once. All right. We don't forget, okay? So you're going to do that. All right. How to stop yelling? Costi, can you hear me? All right. So and you need to actually do that. Thank you so much also for the reminder, Tinuke. That's fine. Thank you everyone for joining me. I said I'm stopping exactly at 3 o'clock. If you want to know more, if you want to, this is no longer the era where you can say, oh, I want to parent on my own. I can do it on my own. Join a parenting academy. Thank you so much for joining me. And trust me, a parenting academy is where, that's where we are right now. It's no longer something you need to argue. It is where we are. All right. 4 years ago, you could say, oh, what are they saying? But now, all right, you need to actually run for your life. And if you think that, what I've shared is something that, you struggle with, you need to actually begin to look at how to work on emotions. Any parent who does not have control over their emotions, if you're still saying, oh, it's my children that is, pressing my button, making me yell, then you need the Master Your Emotions challenge. Master Your Emotions challenge, all right, is a challenge that will help you through. How much are the books? All of the books. Somebody is asking. Oh, no. Everything. No, everything. All right. Calculate and give me. All right. So, Master Your Emotions challenge is one challenge that every parent, right, would want to be part of, because emotions control is the bedrock of parenting. All right. For the person who is asking for all of the books, I think everything costs 25,000. I can't remember, but I think you should reach out to the number on the screen and they will give you including this. They will give you all of the details. So I think it's 27,500 or so. All right. So please just reach out to them. They will give you the details. You make payment and they tell you where you will pick up. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you again Tuesday at 2 p.m. Yes, it is the cathedral. My name is Wendy Ologi, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. Thank you for being part of the show today. See you. And for the others, see you in the yard.